What's up, guys? It's Swingman here, back with another upload. Today what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the truth behind college baseball. So basically, how I'm going to do this video is I'm going to explain to you my path through college baseball, and then we're going to go into my advice I would give any high schooler out there looking for colleges and how to choose the right college. Again, this is based off of my experience. I do have some other short stories, not really short stories, but it's going to be relative to other ball players that I play with, including my brother as well, that experience very similar things that I have throughout college. So starting off, basically, I grew up in Western New York, which isn't a very, I should say, popular baseball town. It has gotten bigger over the years. However, when I was coming out of here, I was never really recruited in the Buffalo area. So getting involved with the travel team was very important, and that's basically how I got recruited. I had options as far as coming out of high school. I did want to go to University at Buffalo. My brother went to University at Buffalo, and so did Eric Flynn, who's in my videos all the time. So it would have been a pretty cool setup to have us three play together at University at Buffalo. So in the meantime, I had Stony Brook University had their eye on me, and they made an offer for a full scholarship to go to Stony Brook. And I basically had my mind set on UB. So we told the Stony Brook coach. The next day, he flew in from Long Island and wanted to have dinner with our family and kind of explain why I'd be a better fit at Stony Brook than UB. And that gesture really did mean a lot to me. He told me that, coming out of high school, I was a shortstop. So they needed a full-time shortstop, and they saw the position as mine. They had a kid recently drafted out there who was a middle infielder, and they said that I remind them a lot of him, and they felt that it was going to be my position to lose. So comparing that to University at Buffalo, Eric Flynn, who you could see, he's a very talented ball player. He was basically a 9-hole hitter for them. Wasn't really developing. He wasn't the player he is now back then, but very talented. And my brother was not playing at all. And that was very hard for me because my brother, in my eyes, he's always been a better baseball player than me. And he really didn't get opportunities in college, and that kind of upset me with UB. And I kind of lost my trust in knowing what was going to happen if I did go to UB, because they told my brother all these things and didn't follow through. So now Stony Brook really showed that they wanted me. So I ended up signing with Stony Brook, and it was about 8 hours away from Buffalo, and ended up going there. Went through my first season, had a decent first year, pretty average, I would say. I had 89 at bats. I hit in the 280s, and I had one home run. Had a decent amount of doubles, but pretty basic year. At the end of the season, I kept telling the team that I could pitch, and no one will believe me. So right at the end of the year, the pitching coach said I have 10 pitches to prove to him that I could pitch, and I know try me out in the fall, or in the fall of my sophomore year. So I went up and threw a bullpen. He said, all fastballs. I said, all right. So kept telling the catcher to move back and forth, corner to corner, and I kept spotting up at the knees. And I loved pitching in high school. It was just something I didn't really think of, and I was blessed with a good arm. So spotted up 10 fastballs in a row, and he said, all right, we'll try you out in the fall. So I go home for this, after the season was over my freshman year, go home for the summer, and then played ball at home in the summer, came back my sophomore year, and they told me right away that they had plans on trying to develop me into a closing pitcher. So right away, they changed my mechanics. Don't know really why. They didn't even give me an outing before to show that my mechanics didn't work. So changed my mechanics. It was kind of crazy what they did. I won't get into all those details, but basically I was throwing about 86 to 88, pretty flat, and I was getting ripped all over the yard, and wasn't comfortable on the mound. So after my first couple outings, it was just inter-squad fall ball. I asked the pitching coach if I could try doing my own thing for a little bit. So he said, yeah, go right ahead. So I went back to my own style, and I was, low 90s and had some hard movement, and my slider was working and my slider was sharp, and I was basically lights out from there. So they said, you're going to be our closer, and they moved me to the outfield. So my freshman year, I didn't even see the shortstop position. I forgot to tell you about that. They moved me to third base right away, never played a game at short. And so my sophomore year, they took me from third, moved me to the outfield, said they're going to try to save my arm a little bit and get me on the mound to close some games. So start out the year hitting in the middle lineup, playing the outfield, having a great year.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Nowak, and I'm Stony Brook Athlete of the Week.
I was hitting around 330 for the first half of the season. I'm saying just shy of the first half of the season, and I ended up coming up for a player watch list for Stopper of the Year. So basically, I threw 15 straight scoreless innings as a closer, and I was averaging almost 2 strikeouts in innings pitched. And I was up for Division I Stopper of the Year, and things were going great. And then we had a spring training trip to Virginia area. We ended up facing UVA at the time. I believe they're ranked number 1, definitely in the top 3. But we ended up going there, and we were out of starting pitching. So the head coach came up to me and asked if didn't ask me. Well, he just said that they're planning on throwing all the relievers, splitting 2 innings each, and we'll go the whole game and see where it goes. And they wanted me to start. So I was like, all right, sure, that's fine. They said, we just need 2 innings out of you. I was like, all right. So went up, threw 2 scoreless innings. Then he asked if I wanted to go in the 3rd inning. Obviously, I'm competitive. Sure, I'll go. I ended up hitting, I was hitting too. So I had a bases loaded single, scored 2 runs, we're up 2-0. Threw a scoreless 3rd, scoreless 4th. Came up, solo shot. I hit a solo shot. So we're up 3-0 on my 3 RBIs. I ended up giving a solo shot up in the 5th inning, so we're up 3-1. Kept me until the 8th inning, put me out in the 8th. I was 125 pitches deep going into the 8th inning. Obviously, I'm not going to take myself out. He wanted me to keep going out there. The team kept telling me, I got to go back out there, and obviously I'm not going to tell myself no or tell anyone else no. So kept throwing, ended up in the 8th inning, 3 4-hitters, both bunted for a hit. I think I ended up beating the next guy. They pulled me out of the game, and we ended up giving up, I believe, 4 runs that inning without a hit out of the infield. A couple of errors, a couple of walks, and we ended up losing the game 5-3. So I was actually as many pitches I thrown, I was pretty excited. That was a pretty sweet performance I put on offensively and on the mound. So I wasn't really upset at all. And so one day goes by. So 2 days later, we go to Longwood. We had a game on our way back up to Stony Brook, and we are in the 8th inning. We're tied, no pitching. Coach comes up to me and asks if I could give him an inning. So I'm coming off a 136 pitch outing, and he asked me to throw. So obviously, me being a competitor, I say, yeah, I'll throw. We end up staying tied for 4 innings. I threw 78 more pitches. So I was over 200 pitches within 3 days as a closer. So again, lights out that day too. We get back home. I'm thinking, all right, rest the arm, get back into the normal groove of things, get into conference play here. So coach has a meeting with us that week, and basically says that he wants to take me out of the outfielding role and put me as a Sunday starter. And in the American East, we didn't play. We played 4-game series, and game 4 of every series was just a blowout. Every game, there wasn't enough starters that each team had, so it would just be an offensive game. And he wanted me to pitch game 4. So he wanted to take away one of the top closers in the nation and make him into a starter. Now, I did show that I could start, but I just didn't think it was a good trade-off. And I didn't know I was going to be taken out of the lineup first. He sold it to me as he would take me out of the lineup just for that game. So I go out my next time out, and I just didn't have it. I didn't have the adrenaline with me, and I could feel just my arm wasn't there. So, I gave up maybe 4 or 5 runs or so. And that was pretty much my average outing. From there on, he slowly took me out of the lineup, just had me starting, and didn't tell me his plans. I was spot starting, getting pinch hit at bats, and just couldn't get comfortable at the plate. And on the mound, I really wasn't doing much of anything. We were winning games 10-6, 12-7, whatever it was. I was giving up 4 to 5 runs every game, and only going 6 innings or so, but still throwing 111, 120 pitches. He was keeping me in there long. So we get to the end of the year, we make regionals. Before regionals, we had a little team banquet, and I ended up winning team MVP that year. We get a regional at Arizona State, which I'm pumped about. There's Vanderbilt was there as well. We faced ASU and Vanderbilt, 2 games. We get knocked out. I didn't get 1 at bat, and it really upset me. Being my sophomore year, as great as things were to start the year, pretty much my whole role got changed, and basically ended with a lot of spot at bats, starting on the mound, throwing way too many pitches, and my arm was even trained for. And I got a 6th inning appearance against Vanderbilt when we were down 9-1, and that was my only outing. And I was probably throwing 100 miles an hour. At least it felt like it. It wasn't 100, but I was just throwing as hard as I can. There's so many scouts there, and struck out the first guy in 3 pitches. Pedro Alvarez hit a rollover ground ball for a single, and then I ended up walking a guy, hitting a guy, got pulled. And that was my trip to regional. So end of the year meeting, coach tells me I had a great year. I was team MVP. I told him I would trade my MVP award to trade for an at bat at Arizona State. I feel like I deserved it, and he knew I loved hitting, but he just didn't want. His response to me was he put the best 9 guys out there, and that was his approach. And then so I guess it is what it is. So I ended up getting invited to play in a summer league. So I went to the NECBL, pretty premier summer league. I played for the Holyoke Blue Sox. They started me every day. I played third base and outfield, and I got at bats every day. That's all I wanted. Didn't do that great. It was my first collegiate wood bat league, and obviously coming off the season, not having many at bats towards the end of the year, I had to find my swing again. So I get back my junior year, obviously my first draft eligible year. Didn't really put up any numbers. I ended up this season in sophomore year. I ended the season about 280, I think 286 or something like that. So nothing great, especially where I was starting and hitting around 330 and then just progressively dropping. But I did have somewhere around 160 at bats that year. So junior year comes along. They say you're back in the outfield, you're back closing. I said, great, that's what I want. So trained all fall, did all that. Get into the season, wasn't playing, wasn't starting, wasn't doing anything. And I think it was our second series, maybe the 4th game or so, maybe the 5th game of the year. They ended up, it was like the 6th inning, so they wanted to put me in for long relief. I'm like, oh, that's weird. So pitching coach comes up to me and says, listen, Jeremy, you're going more than 1 inning, so don't blow it all out. I want you throwing 90%. Just get your fastball down in the zone and just working the count. So I said, all right, fine. So I went out there, didn't throw 100%, just like he asked, and I got shelled. I got ripped. So I don't walk guys either. So I was just throwing it in the zone and throwing high 80s. And so after the game, I was pissed, because I didn't expect that. I didn't know what the hell my role was. Excuse my language. And after the game, the head coach calls me in his office, and he asked what the heck I was doing out there. I said, I was doing exactly what you asked me to. He said, there's scouts there to watch you. And I said, I didn't know that. He's like, did you see those 2 guys up in the stands? Or was it barely anyone there? It was crappy weather. I was like, yeah. It's like, those scouts were there to watch you, and you just blew your chance. Said, thanks for the heads up. So I was confused because I was told not to pitch what I usually do. And so I was kind of distraught by that whole situation. Had another outing, pretty much the same thing, long relief. Or it might have been a start. This is years ago. This is back in 2009. This would have been. So this is a while back. So anyways, we're facing Coastal Carolina. I finally get a start in the lineup. I'm DHing. I didn't care. I just wanted to hit. So this is the biggest blowout I've ever been a part of. We lost 36-3 that game on 40 hits, 0 errors, no errors at all. So we come up in the ninth or the bottom of the eighth, and he tells me to go to the bullpen and warm up. I'm like, all right. So now I'm pitching 1 inning against Coastal Carolina, who's been destroying us every inning, scoring at least 4 to 5 runs or 4 runs every inning. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go all out here. So I go up there and I strike out the side. So coach is coming up to me, the guys on my team come up to me, where the hell has that been? Where have you been? Like, this is the guy we know. And I was furious because, like, I knew coming off that mound that's how I throw. And I just did it because I told myself to do it. No one else told me to. And so I got pissed, and I'm like, I was told not to throw like that. I was specifically told not to throw like that. At last second, too. It wasn't like I was training for it. So, needless to say, the season pretty much was like that. He put me in for a start. Not too much longer after that, I threw 120 pitches. Next outing was like 108. And now I had elbow tendonitis in high school, and that stuff comes back. So I was overthrowing, started getting tendonitis in the elbow, had to shut it down. And basically, it was just a bad year. We ended up losing in the conference playoffs, and season ended earlier than we hoped, and I ended the season with 69 at-bats. So postseason meeting comes back in the coach's office with the assistant coaches there, and he says, the season obviously didn't go the way we all planned, and they asked what were my thoughts, and I said, well, my thoughts are it was a terrible season. Nothing you told me was going to be, as far as me in the outfield and closing, even happened. So now I'm going back to the New England League. Got an invite back from them, and I got to figure out my swing. And he basically said, "Now, Jeremy," and this actually happened. He said, "Jeremy, now we're not accusing you for faking your injury, but we could have really used you this season." I was taken back by the comment. Now I'm being accused, even though he said he wasn't accusing me. That means you're accusing me of faking my injury. You don't just bring that up. So now I start losing. I start getting emotional, and I'm like, how can you? I was the first one to the field every day, and I was the last one to leave. I'd bring all of our buckets of baseballs out on the field after every single game I wasn't playing in, even games I was playing in, which was rare, and I would hit off the tee by myself. I would actually order delivery to deliver to the baseball field, and that was a daily occurrence for me. It was kind of frustration getting brought out, but I also was trying to work hard to be a better baseball player, and I was the only one doing that on the team. I mean, trust me, and I do have buddies out there, and if you're watching this video, trust me, Chad and Pete, you guys were my post-game hitting partners as well. But they were there for majority of the time. But there was a lot of times I was by myself too, hitting off the tee. But as far as that meeting goes, he accused me of faking an injury, and I told him, well, I'm gonna get my swing back and try to have as good as a senior year as I could possibly have, and you're willing to give me. And right when I left the office, he says, what if you come back and we just tell you we want you to pitch? Now I'm about to lose my mind, because they've been lying to me for years now about what position I'm going to play and what their plans are for me. Now he's just saying, what if we tell you this when you get back? Like, I was so emotional and distraught, and like I lost it. I'm like, tell me what you want me to do. And all he said was, we want you to do what we ask when we ask, because we're doing what's best for the team. No matter how much they're blowing out my arm or whatever, or lying to me, this is what's best for the team, apparently. So I go to Summer League, and gosh be darn, I'm not playing first few games. What the heck's going on? They tell me I'm going to be playing third. Now I'm not playing here. And I come in for a couple of closing situations. So after the first week of games, our host coordinator, she texts me and says, we need to talk. So I call her. She said, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but you need to know they don't want you to play the field. They just want you to pitch. And I heard it in a meeting just now. So next day I talked to the manager. I'm like, what the heck's going on? I'm getting lied to. Just be straightforward with me. Am I going to play? So basically he told me no. He said that I'm not in their plans to play the field, even though they told me that to get me there. They said, we were just planning on you closing. Your college coach, kind of treated you more as a pitcher, so we saw you as that role. So I told him, listen, man, I'm not going to stay here away from home in Holyoke, hours and hours away from home to pitch. It's my senior year. I want to hit, and I want to go somewhere where I could get some ABs. So they ended up messaging or calling. The first team we faced that year was an exhibition game against the Utica Brewers in the ECBL. Their league was only around for a couple of years. So they took me on. I closed against them. They knew I threw low to mid-90s. So they took me on and gave me an opportunity to play the field. I went there. I was in the 9-hole. I bet in the 9-hole for half the year, and I was leading the league in hitting. So it was, after a while, they're just like, why the heck do we keep him down here? So they moved me up to the middle of the lineup, and I was just having a tremendous year. And one day, and this is why I tell all the kids out there, just play your heart out every single day you can. One day we're facing this kid who got drafted, and then he got hurt. So he was rehabbing, and he was facing us, and hit 3 doubles to the wall off of him. And there was 8 scouts there, and his advisors were there as well. And they started asking questions, where I'm from, what's going on. And, I just told them I go to Stony Brook University and going in my senior year, just, here to compete. Next game comes, all of a sudden I see a couple scouts in the stands, and I see those advisors. I'm like, man, they're here too? Like, this isn't the same team we're facing. And they just kept showing up to the games, and I was doing well. I was having a tremendous summer. I was hitting well. And one day I was explaining to teammates in the dugout the story of Stony Brook, pretty much what I'm telling you right now, just an abbreviated version. And it was before a game. And we go out there, we warm up, come back to the dugout, and one of the advisors says, Jeremy, come here for a sec. He said, are you not happy at Stony Brook? I'm like, no, not at all. And he said he heard what I was saying. He's like, it sounds like they're mistreating you there. I'm like, yeah, yes, they are, but I don't really have a choice. And he said, well, listen, he's like, you may want to look other places to go. I never really thought of it as going into my senior year. I thought I was pretty much screwed. I was pretty much locked in, but I mean, he was right. What do I got to lose? So basically I reached out to Division II colleges, and Mount Olive got back to me and said, they can't proceed forward with any conversation unless I got a release. And, I was in a, nothing to lose situation, because I was about to go back to hell or be done playing ball. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to call for my release. And I got all my teammates in the room when I called. I really hope the head coach of Stony Brook's watching this right now to know how much he affected me. But so I call him. I was like, hey man, I'm not going to use any names. You could look it up yourself. But I was like, hey, it's Jeremy. And he's like, oh, hey Jeremy, how's it going, man? Like acting all excited. And it's going good. It's going good, just here playing summer ball. He's like, oh, how's summer ball going? I was like, I don't know if you knew, but I had to switch summer leagues. I wasn't getting much playing time, so I had to switch leagues. And I'm doing really well. He's like, I heard you're switching leagues. So things are going good. I'm glad to hear. I was like, yeah. He's like, so what's going on? Why are you calling? What's up? And I was like, oh yeah, I was just calling because I want my release. So everyone in the room like, oh no. But it was the best feeling ever. And he was like dumbfounded. He didn't know what was going on. He's like, well, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm just calling because I want my release. And then he's like putting on this whole story. Like, he couldn't believe it at first. And then he starts saying, you need to take time to think about it. I'm telling him, listen, I thought about it. And he's like, I don't get it. What's going on? I was like, you told me in the last meeting that I was faking injuries to not play. I was like, if you haven't known me in 3 years by now, I'm the last person that wants to sit on that bench. So yeah, ended up getting my release. It took a couple days. He was trying to play off all these, you got to wait till Monday to get your release forms, whatever. So I got my release forms and called the Mount Olive coach, and we start, talking, and basically he said he wanted to get me down there. He heard I threw low mid-90s, and that was enough for him to give me a shot. He said, we're going to test you out in the fall. We'll give you plenty at bats, and you show us you could do something, and we'll keep you in the field. I was like, fine. So I get down to Mount Olive, and I wasn't even a registered student until the day of classes, and that was an amazing, I got a lot of help and stuff, getting everything set up. And so I went there and basically came in the fall. Now, Carter Capps was our ace. And if you don't know who Carter Capps is, look him up. He's the guy with the funky delivery, jumps off the mound. There's a lot of controversy with the way he throws, but he had the second highest average fastball behind Aroldis Chapman a few years back. So kid was pretty legit. He was our ace. So there's scouts coming to watch him play. And I get in the fall. I end up hitting over 600 in the fall. And just locked in. No home runs in the fall, though. It was all like doubles, singles. Just driving the ball all over the field. So right at the end of the fall ball, the coach gives everyone a packet. And the packet has each teammate as their own page. You write the good, the bad, and what they have to work on every person. So at the end of fall, you get a sheet of paper with an anonymous list of what people said about you. On the back side, the coach writes what he thinks about you. And on the back side, he wrote, you coming in, we really didn't know what to expect. So at the end, he said, you are our #1 draft prospect. And then he put in bold letters and underlined as a hitter. And it just, like that line right there, like just, it was the coolest thing. Almost like all of this like frustration and stuff and hard work getting back was like that bold sentence was what I needed to hear from one person. And I believed it. I heard other people say it to me like they think I'm better than what I'm getting treated, but no one's ever said it like that in a position where he's experienced and been around players that have been drafted. And then he goes on to say, if you trust us with our program, we promise we will get you drafted. I was like, that's all I needed to hear. That's all I needed to hear. So basically came back from winter break, and we got to the cage, and our hitting coach, Coach Watt, love you, man, miss you. But he said, you ready to get to work? I was like, let's do it. So, and I'll get into another video. Just leave a comment below if you'd like to hear what those adjustments were. I'll be more than happy to make that video. But basically, we made 3 adjustments, 2 physical, 1 mental adjustment. And the one thing he said mental, he said, listen, we are the #1 Division II offensive school in the nation for the past thousands of years. I forget what the number was. And he said, you're going to be our #3 hitter. And he looked at me and stopped. And I was like, wow. He's like, you're going to be our 3-hole hitter the whole year. And just gave me that like sense of confidence and security. And then he says, knowing that no one's going to throw you inside fastballs. So that makes sense. So you got to learn how to hit opposite field. So that's what we did. And basically, these are the kind of stats I threw up at Stony Brook for 3 years. And these are the stats I threw up at Mount Olive my senior year. I'm going from D1 to D2. However, these are pretty dumb stats. And things as far as like my approach goes was like there's the physical side, which I never got. The only piece of hitting advice I ever got from Stony Brook was I have a lot of power in batting practice, therefore I need to hit more home runs, but I need to strike out less. That was the one piece of hitting advice I've gotten from Stony Brook, personal hitting advice. Not saying he didn't throw in some hitting drills for everyone to do so often, but that was the one piece of personal hitting advice I've gotten in 3 years at Stony Brook. So at Mount Olive, he just treated me like, the offensive player he thought I should be, and he instilled that confidence in me. So I went from collectively 5 home runs in 3 years to 17 my senior year. I stole 26 bags, something like that. I have the stat up there, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But things that I didn't even know I could run, but I was an athlete and I didn't run with proper form. So they taught me how to run properly and get a great first step. And that's all I need to do to steal bases. So I go from that, and sure enough, I had mail from 28 of the 32 major league teams. And I got invites to 9 different pre-draft workouts, which I went to all of them. I ended up hitting in Atlanta at Turner Field. I got to hit at Baltimore. I got a call from Mike Rizzo, the GM of the Nationals, after I just had a workout with the Nationals. And he told me how good I did and how much great praise I was getting from their scouts, that they invited me to Nationals Park to hit and do a pre-draft workout there. And it was me and 4 other kids at that workout in a home stand. They had a game against the Cincinnati Reds, and I got to hit in front of the entire scouting system. And it was just an amazing experience. And I mean, as you guys know that watch my channel, I got drafted 13th round by the Baltimore Orioles out of Mount Olive College. And to go undrafted for, going into my 3rd year at Stony Brook, it does, obviously I want to get drafted. I hit 280 for 3 straight years, and I only had 60-something at-bats my junior year. Who would draft that kid? What's he made of? What can he do? I had those tools coming out of high school. I was the same athlete. I just had no directive. And that brings me to this video, and I know it's been a half hour talking and telling you guys this story, but I hope you can learn from my experience, because if you're looking at a college right now and you're serious about baseball, if you're looking at college as possibly your second opportunity to get drafted, if that's a legitimate thought, look strictly into the baseball program, okay? Take Division 1, 2, 3, JUCO, take that out of it. Take that out of the picture and look at the program itself. Look at players that they've developed and look at how many guys get drafted out of there. That is so important. Mount Olive developed great players, okay? They would recruit great athletes and turn them into great baseball players. Stony Brook was a Division I college in Long Island, a good area to recruit. They recruited great players and hoped for the best. So that's where, there was no development in those programs with Stony Brook, okay? And I am just the walking proof of it, all right? So as far as what you're trying to do going into college, if you have academically a goal that's more important to you than baseball, then by all means, follow that goal. Go to schools that have the better programs. But if you're looking at baseball, do not look at the Division 1, 2, 3 JUCO label to it, okay? It's irrelevant. I couldn't tell you how many Division 1, 2, 3 or JUCO guys or high school guys I played with professionally, and the difference between. I couldn't tell you there's more D1 than D2 or D3 than... So it's impossible, because there's a mixture of everyone from every background. It's about getting on the field and being the best one out there. So that's my biggest advice. And it's sad to see a lot of great ball players going into colleges and their career is ruined because they just lose faith in themselves, in the sport. And then they just kind of get overlooked. And that's a really rough situation to be in. If you're in college right now and that's happening to you, if this story seems very similar, I'm telling you, look for a way out. Don't be scared, worst case scenario is you stay there and you stop playing the game and hate it because you got mistreated. I would rather take that chance and find somewhere to play. Look for someone to help you too. That's big, especially if you really don't know what the heck you're doing. But you'll be surprised. People will be out there helping. So, but yeah, I mean, that's my story. That's my advice. I hope this video helps you guys. It's very long. I understand, 35 minutes. I'm actually going to save that. I have a story about the Great Wall. He commented on my Instagram story. I'm going to save it for a little shorter video. It'll be a little more entertaining. He played with me in, if you don't know what the comment is, just look on my Instagram page. But basically, I needed 20 likes to my comment back to him, and I'll tell the story to everyone how my buddy Andrew got shards of a 7-iron in his eye. He's going to love that one. So, but yeah, if you guys have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments below. Any hitting advice, anything like that. I'm trying to throw together a program or something that I could offer hitting tips and advice to guys one-on-one. So I'm working on that. The Stingman line is in the works. So that will be announced as soon as that comes out. And for those of you that did watch the video, you notice that I am recording this on December 1st. I was supposed to be down in Florida playing golf right now, but the trip got canceled and hopefully rescheduled. So that's what I'm looking for. So again, thanks for watching, guys. Hit that like button and subscribe.